USS Kitty Hawk, CV-63, formerly CVA-63, is a decommissioned United States Navy supercarrier. She was the second naval ship named after Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, the site of the Wright brothers' first powered airplane flight. Kitty Hawk was the first of the three Kitty Hawk-class aircraft carriers to be commissioned and last to be decommissioned. Kitty Hawk was laid down by the New York Shipbuilding Corporation, Camden, New Jersey, on December 27, 1956. The ship was launched on May 21, 1960, sponsored by Mrs. Camilla F. McElroy, wife of Defense Secretary Neil H. McElroy. Kitty Hawk was launched by flooding her dry dock. The conventional slide-down method was ruled out because of her mass and the risk that she might hit the Philadelphia shore on the far side of the Delaware River. The ship was commissioned April 29, 1961, at Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, Captain William F. Bringle in command. With the decommissioning of Independence on September 30, 1998, Kitty Hawk became the United States warship with the second longest active status. For 10 years, Kitty Hawk was the forward deployed carrier at Yokosuka Naval Base in Yokosuka, Japan. In October 2008, she was replaced in this role by George Washington. Kitty Hawk returned to the United States and had her decommissioning ceremony on January 31, 2009. She was officially decommissioned on May 12, 2009 after almost 49 years of service. Kitty Hawk was replaced by George H.W. Bush. She was stricken from the Naval Vessel Register on October 20, 2017 and will be dismantled. 1961 to 1964. Kitty Hawk and the destroyer Turner Joy refuel from Kawashiwi in 1964. Following shakedown in the Western Atlantic, Kitty Hawk departed Naval Station Norfolk, Virginia on August 11, 1961, after a brief stop at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where she embarked the Secretary of the Brazilian Navy for a demonstration during an exercise at sea with 5 Brazilian destroyers. The attack carrier rounded Cape Horn on 1st of October. She steamed into Valparaiso, Chile, on 13th of October and then sailed 2 days later for Peru, arriving in Callao on 20th of October, where she entertained the President of Peru. At San Diego, Admiral George W. Anderson, Chief of Naval Operations, landed on her deck 18th of November to witness anti-submarine demonstrations by Henry B. Wilson and Blueback, a Terrier missile demonstration by Topeka, and air demonstrations by Kitty Hawk. Kitty Hawk entered San Francisco Naval Shipyard on November 23, 1961 for alterations. Following operations out of San Diego, she sailed from San Francisco on September 13, 1962. Kitty Hawk joined the United States 7th Fleet on October 7, 1962, relieving Midway as the flagship. After participating in the Philippine Republic Aviation Week Air Show, Kitty Hawk steamed out of Manila Harbor on November 30, 1962 and welcomed Admiral Harry D. Felt, Commander-in-Chief United States Pacific Fleet, for a demonstration of modern naval weapons on 3rd of December. The ship visited Hong Kong early in December and returned to Japan, arriving at Yokosuka on January 2, 1963. In conjunction with Commander, Carrier Division 7, Kitty Hawk carried out several exercises in January and February 1963. On January 4, 1963, Operation Checkertail saw Kitty Hawk and 3 other attack aircraft carriers launch practice airstrikes against the Okinawa Air Defense Command. From 27 January-February 2, 1963, Picture Window 3 saw foreign aircraft intercepted and visually identified in the northern Japan area. Though the official ship's papers released in 2011 do not identify the nationality, the foreign aircraft in question were likely from the Soviet Far Eastern Military District or Soviet Naval Aviation. From 16 February 19, 1963, Exercise Red Wheel was conducted around southern Japan, also under the direction of Commander Carrier Division 7. It aimed to improve the United States 7th Fleet's ability to conduct conventional and nuclear warfare while maintaining defense against air and submarine attack. It also aimed to evaluate the capability of the Hawk Hunter-Killer Group to protect 2 CVA task groups. During these exercises, the ship visited Kobe, Beppu, and Iwakuni before returning to San Diego on April 2, 1963. President Kennedy and Governor Brown of California review a fleet demonstration aboard Kitty Hawk on June 6, 1963. On June 6, 1963, President John F. Kennedy, with top civilian and military leaders, boarded Kitty Hawk to witness a carrier task force weapons demonstration off the California coast. Addressing the men of the task group from Kitty Hawk, President Kennedy told them that control of the seas still means security, peace, and ultimate victory. He later wrote to President and Madam Chiang Kai-shek, who had witnessed a similar demonstration on board Constellation, "I hope you were impressed as I was, on my visit to Kitty Hawk, with the great force for peace or war, which these mighty carriers and their accompanying escorts provide, helping to preserve the freedom of distant nations in all parts of the world." An F-4B Phantom II aircraft number 401, while assigned to VF-114, made the ship's 16,000th trap on August 17, 1963. Film director John Frankenheimer filmed shots for the movie 7 Days in May on board the vessel in 1963. Following a series of strike exercises and tactics reaching along the California coast and off Hawaii, Kitty Hawk again sailed for the Far East. While approaching Japan, she learned an assassin had shot President Kennedy. Flags were at half-mast as she entered Sasebo Harbor on November 25, 1963. the day of the president's funeral, and, as senior ship present, she had the sad honor of firing memorial salutes. After cruising the South China Sea and ranging to the Philippines in readiness operations with the 7th Fleet, she returned to San Diego on July 20, 1964. 1965 to 1972. An A-6 intruder from VA-75 traps aboard Kitty Hawk during her 1967-68 deployment to Vietnam. Kitty Hawk overhauled in Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and trained along the western seaboard. She sailed from San Diego on October 19, 1965, for Hawaii, thence to Subic Bay, Philippines, where she prepared for combat operations off the coast of Vietnam. Kitty Hawk returned to San Diego in June 1966 for overhaul and training until November 4, 1966, when she again deployed to serve in waters of Southeast Asia. Scenes from the 1966 Walt Disney comedy Lieutenant Robin Crusoe, U.S.N., were filmed aboard the warship. Kitty Hawk arrived at Yokosuka, Japan on 19 November to relieve Constellation as flagship for Rear Admiral David C. Richardson, Commander Task Force 77. On 26 November, Kitty Hawk departed Yokosuka for Yankee Station via Subic Bay. On 5 December, aircraft from Kitty Hawk began their around-the-clock missions over North Vietnam. About this time, Kitty Hawk, already accustomed to celebrities as guests, entertained several prominent visitors: William Randolph Hearst Jr., Bob Considine, Dr. Billy Graham, Nancy Sinatra, and John Steinbeck, among others. She remained in the Far East supporting the U.S. in Southeast Asia until departing Subic Bay on May 28, 1968. Steaming via Japan, the carrier reached San Diego on 19 June and a week later entered the naval shipyard at Long Beach for maintenance. Kitty Hawk returned to San Diego on 25 August and began a rigorous training program to prepare her for future action. Kitty Hawk was awarded the Presidential Unit Citation for exceptionally meritorious and heroic service from December 23, 1967 to June 1, 1968, which included the Tet Offensive, while participating in combat operations in Southeast Asia, and the Navy Unit Meritorious Commendation for exceptionally meritorious service from January 15, 1969 to August 27, 1969 while participating in combat operations in Southeast Asia and contingency operations in Northeast Asia. Both awards noted that the officers and men of the Kitty Hawk displayed undaunted spirit, courage, professionalism, and dedication to maintain their ship as a fighting unit under the most arduous operating conditions to enable her pilots to destroy vital military targets in North Vietnam despite intense opposition and extremely adverse weather conditions. 1973 to 1977. From January through July 1973, Kitty Hawk changed home ports from San Diego to San Francisco. Kitty Hawk moved into dry dock on January 14, 1973. Work began to convert the ship from an attack, CVA, to a multi-mission carrier, CV. The CV designation indicated that Kitty Hawk was no longer strictly an attack carrier, in that anti-submarine warfare would also become a major role. Kitty Hawk became the first Pacific Fleet carrier to carry the multi-purpose CV designation. The conversion consisted of adding 10 new helicopter calibrating stations, installing sonar/sonobuoy readout and analysis center and associated equipment, and changing a large portion of the ship's operating procedures. One of the significant equipment/space changes in the conversion was the addition of the Anti-Submarine Classification and Analysis Center, ASCAC, in the CIC area. ASCAC worked in close conjunction with the anti-submarine warfare aircraft assigned aboard carrier Air Wing 11. The engineering department underwent a significant change in its propulsion plant during the yard period. The Navy's standard oil, black oil, fuel system was completely converted to Navy distillate fuel. The Air Department added several significant changes to the flight deck, including enlarging the jet blast deflectors, JBD, and installing more powerful catapults in order to handle the new Grumman F-14 Tomcat, which Kitty Hawk was standing by to receive for its next deployment. Enlarging JBD No. 1 meant the No. 1 aircraft elevator had to be redesigned, making Kitty Hawk the only carrier at the time having an aircraft elevator that tracked from the hangar deck to the flight deck, angling out 6 degrees. Kitty Hawk moved out of dry dock on April 28, 1973, and the next day, on her 12th birthday, she was named a multipurpose aircraft carrier, CV. After much-needed upgrades and modifications to Kitty Hawk's systems, she departed Hunters Point Navy shipyards in San Francisco to begin sea trial exercises and then made a short 3-day layover in Pearl Harbor for some crew render. She then departed for the South China Sea. However, while en route, during routine maintenance to the ship's fuel oil systems in the No. 1 machinery room on December 11, 1973, a flange gasket failed in one of the fuel transfer tubes of JP5 that passed through No. 1 engine room. Jet fuel was sprayed, atomized, and ignited, and the ship went to general quarters for nearly 38 hours. Due to the massive amounts of thick black smoke, the crew was ordered topside to the flight deck until the fire could be controlled and the smoke cleared. Because 2 and then 3 of the ship's 4 propulsion systems had to be shut down during the fire, Kitty Hawk began to list about 7 degrees portside. As a result, many of the aircraft were moved starboard to balance the ship until the fire was finally brought under control and 2 propulsion systems restored. Kitty Hawk then headed toward the Philippines, where she ported in Subic Bay until the ship's damage could be assessed and repairs could be made, but there would be 3 days of waiting before reaching port. 6 enlisted sailors died in the fire: Michael DeVirich, Linz Chambers, Kevin Johnson, Alan Champagne, Samuel Cardenas, and Joseph Tulipana. 34 sailors were treated for smoke inhalation and several minor injuries, and 1 sailor for a broken wrist reported. The bodies of those men who died in the fire were escorted home by members of their respective divisions for burial. As a result of the deaths of the 6 crew members, on January 10, 1974, an investigation was ordered by Rear Admiral Donald C. Davis, commander of Carrier Group 1 and senior officer on board Kitty Hawk designated as his flagship. Although initial reports lay blame to one of the 6 men who perished in the tragic fire, upon conclusion of the investigation filed by the Department of the Navy, Commander 7th Fleet, several opinions on causes were noted within the investigation, which included but were not limited to the 4th endorsement on Captain Kenneth L. Sugar. The investigative report of January 10, 1974, Section 3, Paragraph 3 stated, the replacement of the defective gasket in the strainer cover assembly by fireman apprentice Kevin W. Johnson, deceased, reflected, in the words of the investigating officer, poor judgment and unsound maintenance practices. Further, fireman apprentice Johnson was therefore negligent in the performance of his duties. However, in consonance with the investigating officer, the opinion is expressed that under the circumstances, the maintenance deficiencies noted herein constitute simple, rather than culpable, negligence. In light of the efforts made by all 6 Navy personnel, Cardenas, Champagne, Tulipana, DeVirich, Chambers, and Johnson assigned to the machinery room on December 11, 1973, whom all died during the suppression efforts, it has administratively been determined each were posthumously awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for their heroic devotion to duty in fighting the fire, which is the subject of this investigative report. 8. Kitty Hawk stayed busy throughout the mid-1970s with numerous deployments to the Western Pacific and involvement in a large number of exercises, including RIMPAC in 1973 and 1975. Kitty Hawk departed San Diego on March 8, 1976, and on 12th of March entered dry dock at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard in Bremerton, Washington, to commence a $100 million complex overhaul. Scheduled to last just more than 12 months, this overhaul configured Kitty Hawk to operate with the F-14 and S-3A Viking aircraft in a total CVC control mode. This included adding spaces for storage, ordnance handling, and maintenance facilities for the 2 aircraft. Also included in the work package were more efficient work areas for airframes and a repair facility for ground support equipment, and the addition of avionics support capability for the S-3. The ship also replaced the Terrier surface-to-air missile system with the NATO Sea Sparrow system and added elevators and modified weapons magazines to provide an increased capability for handling and stowing the newer, larger air-launched weapons. Kitty Hawk completed the overhaul in March 1977 and departed the shipyard on 1st of April of that year to return to San Diego. After a 6-month pre-deployment workup, Kitty Hawk departed NAS North Island October 25, 1977 for another Western Pacific Ocean deployment and returned May 15, 1978. 1979 to 1998. In May 1979, the ship teamed up with Carrier Air Wing 15, CVW-15, for another Western Pacific deployment. Her duties included search and assistance operations to aid refugees in small boats fleeing the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. During that deployment, Kitty Hawk also offered contingency support off the coast of Korea following the assassination of Republic of Korea President Park Chung-hee. The deployment was then extended 2.5 months to support contingency operations in the North Arabian Sea during the Iran hostage crisis. For their actions in the region, Kitty Hawk and CVW-15 were awarded the Navy Expeditionary Medal. Kitty Hawk had a cameo appearance in the 1980 movie The Final Countdown, standing in for Nimitz. On her way home from her Western Pacific deployment, Kitty Hawk was filmed entering Pearl Harbor with the crew manning the rails as the ship passed the USS Arizona Memorial. At the time of the filming, Nimitz was still an Atlantic Fleet, Vice Pacific Fleet aircraft carrier. Kitty Hawk returned to San Diego in late February 1980 and was also awarded the Meritorious Unit Commendation and the Naval Air Force Pacific Battle Efficiency E Award as the best carrier in the Pacific Fleet. In April 1981, Kitty Hawk left San Diego for her 13th deployment to the Western Pacific. Following the cruise, the crew was awarded the Navy Expeditionary Medal and the Humanitarian Service Medal for the rescue of Vietnamese refugees in the South China Sea. In January 1982, Kitty Hawk returned to Bremerton for another year-long overhaul. Following the comprehensive upgrade and a vigorous training period with Carrier Air Wing 2, Kitty Hawk deployed in 1984 as the flagship for Battle Group Bravo. Kitty Hawk logged more than 62,000 miles, 100,000 kilometers, on this deployment and remained at Station Gonzo in the North Arabian Sea for more than 60 consecutive days. In March 1984, Kitty Hawk participated in Team Spirit exercises in the Sea of Japan. The Soviet Victor-class nuclear attack submarine K-314 shadowed the task group. On March 21, 1984, at the end of the Sea of Japan part of the exercise, K-314 surfaced directly in front of Kitty Hawk. Time was 22:05, too dark and far too close for Kitty Hawk to see and avoid the resulting collision. with minor damage to the aircraft carrier and significant damage to the Soviet submarine. At the time of the accident, Kitty Hawk is estimated to have carried several dozen nuclear weapons, and K-314 probably carried 2 nuclear torpedoes. Kitty Hawk was thereafter considered the first anti-submarine carrier weapon, and a red submarine was painted on her island near the bridge but was ordered removed upon return to home port North Island, San Diego. Kitty Hawk went to the U.S. Naval Base at Subic Bay in the Philippines for repairs. A piece of one of K-314's propellers was embedded in Kitty Hawk's bow, as were some chunks of the Soviet anechoic coating, from scraping along the side of the submarine. The result was an accidental intelligence coup for the U.S. Navy. The ship returned to San Diego on August 1, 1984. 7 months later, Kitty Hawk was awarded another Battle Efficiency E award. In July 1985, Kitty Hawk and CVW-9 deployed again as flagship for Battle Group Bravo. Kitty Hawk and CVW-9 combined to set a standard for operations, completing their second consecutive fatality-free deployment. In August 1985, People magazine printed an article stating that Kitty Hawk's missiles and jet parts were illegally smuggled into Iran, at that time considered a hostile nation, as revealed by Kitty Hawk's petty officer Robert W. Jackson. Later, the FBI arrested 7 suspects involved in this smuggling scheme, an event related to what was later known as the Iran-Contra scandal. CVW-9 crews logged more than 18,000 flight hours and 7,300 arrested landings. At the same time, Kitty Hawk maintained her catapults and arresting gear at 100% availability. In 1986, during pre-cruise exercises, 1 airman was killed during flight operations when he was struck by an aircraft while checking ailerons during the launch. Kitty Hawk bid farewell to San Diego on January 3, 1987, as the ship departed her home port of 25 years and set out on a 6-month world cruise. During the circumnavigation, Kitty Hawk and CVW-9 again showed their commitment to safety by conducting a third fatality-free deployment. Kitty Hawk spent 106 consecutive days on station in the Indian Ocean and was again awarded the Navy Expeditionary Medal and the Meritorious Unit Commendation for its service. The world cruise ended at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard on 3 July. 6 months later, Kitty Hawk began a Service Life Extension Program, SLEP, overhaul. Kitty Hawk emerged from the yards on August 2, 1990. The overhaul was estimated to have added 20 years of service to the ship. The Aircraft Intermediate Maintenance Department was also awarded the Air Force's U.S. Pacific Fleet Departmental Excellence Award, the Black E, for this deployment. With the return of CVW-15 to its decks, Kitty Hawk began its second deployment around the Horn of South America to her original home port of San Diego on December 11, 1991, performing Gringo Gaucho with the Argentine Naval Aviation during the transit. On August 1, 1992, Kitty Hawk was appointed as Naval Air Force Pacific's ready carrier. The ship embarked Commander, Cruiser Destroyer Group 5, Commander, Destroyer Squadron 17 and CVW-15 for 3 months of workups before deploying to the Western Pacific on November 3, 1992. While on deployment, Kitty Hawk spent 9 days off the coast of Somalia supporting Marines and coalition forces involved in Operation Restore Hope. In response to increasing Iraqi violations of United Nations sanctions, the ship rushed to the Persian Gulf on December 27, 1992. Just 17 days later, Kitty Hawk led a joint coalition offensive strike against designated targets in southern Iraq. Kitty Hawk set sail on her 17th deployment June 24, 1994, to provide a stabilizing influence operating in the Western Pacific during a time of great tension in the Far East, particularly concerning North Korea. This would be the last cruise for VA-52 flying the A-6E Swipe Intruder. During the cruise, the carrier led the first ASW persecution of both the Han class and Oscar II class submarine. Most likely the Oscar II was K-442. During the ASW hunt of the Han class submarine of the PLA Navy, a standoff ensued between the United States and PRC, leading to several PLA fighter aircraft flying near Kitty Hawk's S-3 Viking ASW aircraft from Versus 37. Eventually, both sides backed down. In 1995, Kitty Hawk embarked Air Wing transition to CVW-11, marking a change to a single F-14 squadron and 3 FA-18 squadrons. Kitty Hawk began her 18th deployment, this time with CVW-11, in October 1996. During the 6-month underway period, the ship visited ports in the Persian Gulf and Western Pacific. The carrier made a rare visit to Hobart, Tasmania, as well as being only the second carrier to ever stop in Manama, Bahrain. Kitty Hawk returned to San Diego April 11, 1997, immediately beginning a 15-month, $110 million overhaul, including 3 months in dry dock in Bremerton, from January to March 1998. 1998 to 2008. Kitty Hawk departed San Diego on July 6, 1998, to assume new duties as America's only permanently forward-deployed aircraft carrier from independence. Kitty Hawk also welcomed aboard carrier Air Wing 5, operating from Naval Air Facility Atsugi, Japan. Kitty Hawk arrived at her new operating location of U.S. Fleet Activities Yokosuka, Japan, on August 11, 1998. With the decommissioning of Independence on September 30, 1998, Kitty Hawk became the second oldest active warship in the U.S. Navy and was authorized to fly the first Navy JAC. Kitty Hawk set sail for a planned 3-month underway period on March 2, 1999, which included exercise tandem thrust off Guam. Following the exercise, the Kitty Hawk/CVW-5 team was ordered to the Persian Gulf to enforce the no-fly zone over southern Iraq. CVW-5 pilots flew more than 8,800 sorties in 116 days, including 1,300 combat sorties, dropping more than 20 tons of ordnance. On the return trip to Japan, Kitty Hawk made port visits to Perth, Western Australia, and Pattaya, Thailand. Kitty Hawk returned to Yokosuka on August 25, 1999. She was again underway to the Sea of Japan on 22nd of October to participate in exercises Foal Eagle and annual X-11G. On April 11, 2000, Kitty Hawk departed Yokosuka, Japan, for routine local area operations and participated in exercise Cobra Gold with the navies of Singapore and Thailand. Kitty Hawk participated in exercise Foal Eagle in fall 2000 and deployed again in March 2001 for a spring underway period with a historic stop. On 22nd of March, Kitty Hawk became the first aircraft carrier to ever moor pierside in Singapore, as the ship visited the brand new Changi Pier, located at the Republic of Singapore Navy's Changi Naval Base. On 29th of April, shortly after a visit to Guam, Kitty Hawk celebrated 40 years of active service as the ship and crew sailed south to participate in exercise Tandem Thrust 2001 with the Australian and Canadian navies. The ship returned to Yokosuka on June 11, 2001. On October 17, 2000, and again on November 9, 2000, Kitty Hawk was buzzed by a group of Russian warplanes in the Sea of Japan, which proceeded to take pictures of the reaction on deck. General Anatoly Kornikov, then Russian Air Forces Commander-in-Chief, stated that the Russian warplanes managed to evade Kitty Hawk's anti-aircraft defense system and that in the pictures, you can clearly see the panic on deck. In October 2001, Kitty Hawk deployed to the North Arabian Sea for the beginning of Operation Enduring Freedom. The ship served as an afloat-forward staging base for the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, with a reduced air wing. In April 2002, Kitty Hawk was underway for her scheduled spring training, along with a Guam port call. The spring underway included port visits to Singapore and Hong Kong, where the crew celebrated Kitty Hawk's 41st birthday. In the fall of 2002, Kitty Hawk was training in the Western Pacific. Kitty Hawk and her battle group combined with U.S. Air Force units and elements of the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force to conduct annual X-14G in the waters surrounding Japan. Later, the ship and her crew made a port visit to Hong Kong. On September 11, 2002, all U.S. Navy ships were ordered to fly the first Navy Jack. The ship once again departed Yokosuka on January 23, 2003 for a routine training mission, but a short time later orders were received to transit to the U.S. Central Command Area of Responsibility to support the global war on terrorism and to prepare for future contingencies. Kitty Hawk was soon involved in Operation Southern Watch and Iraqi Freedom in the North Persian Gulf. Although the cruise was originally intended to be short, the ship served 110 continuous days at sea. Kitty Hawk returned to Yokosuka on May 6, 2003, immediately entering an extensive drydock period, or drydocking ships restricted availability, DSRA, that lasted until October of that year. On July 3, 2005, Kitty Hawk pulled in at Sydney, Australia for shore leave. Later during the same cruise, Kitty Hawk made a port call in Guam for 4 days. In November 2005, Kitty Hawk anchored at Hong Kong and was there for Thanksgiving. In June 2005, after a 6-month ships restricted availability SRA period, the Kitty Hawk once again got underway and was overflown by a Russian Il-38. In August 2006, the carrier pulled into Fremantle, Australia for shore leave. In September 2006, Kitty Hawk made the final port call of her summer deployment at Pattaya, Thailand, after which she returned to her home port of Yokosuka. In October 2006, Kitty Hawk and her escort warships were undergoing exercises near Okinawa, and a Chinese Song-class submarine shadowed the group then surfaced within 5 miles, 8.0 kilometers, of the group on October 26, 2006. It was considered to be quite rare for Chinese subs to operate that far from their home ports on the mainland, though with this incident that may be changing. Reports claim that the submarine had been undetected until it surfaced. In 2009, Timothy J. Keating, commander of the United States Pacific Command, commented on the issue, stating that the carrier was in a very relaxed posture. If there were some heightened state of tension, believe me, we would not let them get that close. On January 11, 2007, Kitty Hawk entered a scheduled period of maintenance in Yokosuka, her place being taken by Ronald Reagan, which made an unscheduled deployment 3 weeks later. This refit is smaller than the one the ship completed in 2006, which took 6 months. On July 5, 2007, Kitty Hawk pulled in at Sydney, Australia, for 6 days of shore leave after participating in Exercise Talisman Sabre. On September 21, 2007, Kitty Hawk pulled into Yokosuka, Japan, after a 4-month summer deployment. In November 2007, Kitty Hawk and other U.S. Navy ships participated in the joint military exercise Malabar in the Bay of Bengal. Other nations that took part were Australia, Japan, Singapore, and host nation India. Later that month, Kitty Hawk was scheduled to dock at Hong Kong for Thanksgiving. However, China denied entry to Kitty Hawk and the rest of her carrier group. China then reversed its position based on humanitarian grounds, but by that time, Kitty Hawk was too far away to dock in time for the holiday. The cause of the Chinese refusal remains unclear. Kitty Hawk was deployed off the coast of China along with 2 other ships during the Taiwan election on March 20, 2008. After the elections, she entered Hong Kong for the last time. On May 28, 2008, Kitty Hawk departed Japan for the last time, to be replaced in Japan by George Washington. However, during George Washington's transit of the Pacific coast of South America en route to the planned turnover with Kitty Hawk in Hawaii, a major fire broke out that led to Washington diverting to San Diego for repairs. This led to the U.S. Navy retaining Kitty Hawk in Hawaii to take part in the RIMPAC 2008 exercises in June and July. On August 7, 2008, Kitty Hawk arrived at Naval Air Station North Island. Retirement. On December 1, 2005, the United States Navy announced that George Washington would replace Kitty Hawk in 2008 as the forward deployed carrier in Japan, and it would also assume host carrier duties for forward deployed carrier Air Wing 5. In March 2007, the Navy announced that Captain Todd Zetchen, the captain responsible during the decommissioning of John F. Kennedy, had been tasked with overseeing the decommissioning of Kitty Hawk. Kitty Hawk left Yokosuka on May 28, 2008 to begin the decommissioning process. However, on 22nd of May, a fire seriously damaged George Washington, causing the ship to go to San Diego for repairs. Kitty Hawk participated in the RIMPAC exercise near Hawaii in George Washington's place. The turnover between the 2 carriers was postponed and took place in August. After the turnover, Kitty Hawk arrived at Bremerton, Washington in September, and was informally retired on January 31, 2009. Kitty Hawk, the USN's last oil-powered aircraft carrier, was finally decommissioned on May 12, 2009.